to help your business grow, fostering success, attracting investment, and building a stronger community. Learn more today at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
And here we go on the WTIM Morning Show. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. We're joined by the Master Gardeners, Gwen Podesky and Linda Smith at the University of Illinois Extension. Thanks so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. Master Gardeners, it's very warm today. It's almost uncharacteristically warm here in Central Illinois. What does this mean for our gardening operations today?
That the plants are further confused.
Right. You're in Illinois. It's going to change tomorrow. So
right. So yeah, but I mean, it's a chance. It's given us a little bit of a chance. If you didn't get that late night or that last minute cleanup done, it's a little bit of a chance to maybe get out there and
right. It'll be a beautiful day for that.
Yeah. And what does that really look like when you're just clearing the path for next year's crop? I mean, are you completely dismantling that soil, turning it over? What does it look like?
Well, not really. And a lot of times with the various perennials, depends on the perennials. Natives can most of the time be left standing. They're going to be okay and provide some food and shelter for wildlife. The things like peonies should be cut down because they will foster old peony fosters disease for the plant. So that should be cut down. A lot of the ones that we consider ornamental that are not native really should probably be, taken down just for the health of the plant.
Sure.
I have a lot of cannas that are on the south side of the house. And believe it or not, those are typically tubers that you have to dig up and put in a dry location, put them in peat moss, get them ready for next year, and they can survive. But on the south side of my house, and many of your listeners probably, they just come back. Mm-hmm. But boy, when they're done growing and the frost gets them, they are very ugly and they just fall over because they're 6 feet tall in the air. And so they're a mess. And so getting just the debris cleared up allows moisture to get down there for the winter, sunlight to keep them warm, and so it's there are probably a lot of things like that that really like that leaf mulch that they'll get now with trees pretty much have dropped everything so far.
And I do, like, my cannas are always in barrels, so I took them out about 2 weeks ago and put them just down in a 5-gallon bucket. You kind of air dry them. I usually lay them out and then knock all the soil off, put them in. I just use a little bit. People say sphagnum peat moss, but I use just a little bit of dry, and I'm saying dry potting soil, and put a lid on it and put it in the back corner of my basement and wait for the next year's plant sale. Right. Because I can't believe it. You plant 3 or 4 tubers of those things, and I have a 6-gallon bucket full. And caladiums are another thing, and colochlaceas. A lot of those need that same sort of dig it up and store it treatment.
Seems like weeks ago we talked about still waiting on that official hard freeze, and we've most certainly gotten it by now.
Certainly gotten it.
But now we're back up to a time before that hard freeze. What does that? I mean, are there any species of plant that you worry for around this kind of time?
I don't know. I'm a little concerned. I have a lace cap hydrangea that is very finicky, and most of the time I don't get to see it bloom, and I wonder why I keep it. And then when I see it bloom, I know why. But it was ready to bloom because it had been so warm for so long, and it got clobbered. So I imagine it's toast for next year, and it'll come back from the ground again.
Wow.
But anyway, it's just things like that. A lot of people I would kind of watch on Facebook, a lot of people had irises that are not reblooming irises blooming, and they had I saw a lot of rhododendrons. So I don't know. I don't know I really don't know what will happen to those, because they only set buds once a year, don't they? I think
most of the time they're going to bloom next spring or not.
Yeah, who knows? But I know that across the street from me, it looked like it was May. I was like, oh, look, it's a rhododendron. And I've seen a lot of lilacs, older ones, not the bloomerangs or whatever they call those, but yeah, so who knows? But you just have to go along and I figure I used to try to protect a lot of stuff and do a lot of extra things. And it's like, okay, let the microclimates, like Linda does with her cannas, let the microclimates deal with it. And if it doesn't make it, find something else.
Sure.
There's a ton of stuff out there.
Right.
Does it feel unprecedented? Are you having any conversations or seeing any situations that you haven't before in your years of gardening in this December?
I think you do every year.
Every year. Yeah.
And then I go back and I read some garden book from 1804, and it's like, look at that. They're saying the same thing.
It was 50 in the middle of December, back
Something,
then.
yeah. And I mean, this part of Illinois is just like that.
Sure.
It's always been. It to me, it does remind me more of my childhood in Southern Illinois than when I first moved to Taylorville. And we had a lot
it's
of
not
snow and a lot of
unusual to
cold.
have these ups and downs and ups and downs. And that's just, the plants begin to tolerate that because that's what's normal then, and so they'll typically adjust and adapt and we'll all be surprised next spring when we see more foliage than usual, possibly. Maybe not so much with some.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the variety and what happens also between now and then, because the soil needs that upheaval and down and up and down,
And that's true. That's absolutely true. You need to have that because that brings that sort of stimulates the microbial environment in the soil and other things. So that up and down is very important it turns itself over.
Right.
Wow.
Freezing the soil turns it over.
It's interesting to note. I mean, these plants have just kind of evolved to the new way.
That's what they do.
And it is really cool. We got Gwen Podesky and Linda Smith in our studios right now, master gardeners of the University of Illinois Extension. Let's talk some of our Christmas plants, the plants that like to thrive this time of year. Christmas cactuses, we talked about those a lot last year. What else kind of conversations are you guys having right now with our Christmas plants?
Well, I went with a friend to pick out some poinsettias for her church. And, of course, we went on a night when it was 18 degrees. And the people at I think it was Menards we went to were so nice. They gave us great big bags. I said, I want some great big bags. And because when you bring home a poinsettia from the store, if it is that cold, you need to cover it somehow. Many of the other stores will put the big cellophane sleeves on them that you can bring up around the plant, but these were huge. So, you need to bring those home carefully and keep them away from vents. They like to have a little moisture, but they like for their soil to dry out. So you just kind of, do the finger in the soil test and water as you need to.
Yeah.
Why is keeping them covered so important?
Because they are
their temperature
very sensitive.
Sensitive, very much.
They've been grown in Mexico.
Tropical plants,
I see.
so they're not used to our cold weathers, and that burst of cold can just throw them all out of whack.
They look like you took a blowtorch
Right.
to them if you're not
right.
Why did we chose poinsettias as this very, reminiscent of Christmas plant just because it's red?
It probably goes back to Victorian times when they had Victorians really had a lot of conservatories, which are like little greenhouse type rooms attached to your house and things. They had a lot of areas in their house like that. And that was kind of the big first early burst of houseplant history, I think.
Wow.
And so at that point, everybody, boy, if it came from the tropics or it came from somewhere. So I would imagine that the poinsettia the color, it's, red and green. And I think it was the color and
they're breeding so many unique colors now.
Oh, no kidding. And even shapes.
Bronzes and the shapes as well. And so it's kind of fun to go out and see what's new this year. But if you want the traditional, that would be the red.
Sure.
And but you were asking about plants, and we have this time of year, we're beginning to see the Christmas cactus start to put on blooms. Believe it or not, there is a Thanksgiving cactus.
Sure.
There's a Christmas cactus, and there's an Easter
Didn't know
cactus.
about that. Wow.
And it all depends on the shape of the leaflets that are on there and as to what you're going to get.
Yeah.
But this time of year, you have the Thanksgiving cactus that are still blooming and
kind of winding down.
and then pretty soon you'll see the Christmas cactus pick up and it will bloom, and so it's fun to see those plants that are for some reason associated with the seasons and
And
the
again, that's
holidays.
probably because that is when they do bloom. It's got to do, I think,
Sure.
with light level. Now, the shape of the leaves, they're pointy. If they're pointy, you got a Thanksgiving or an Easter cactus. If the leaves are rounded and the lobes on the leaves are sort of soft, the edges are sort of soft, look curved, then that's the Christmas cactus.
And do these bloom only once in their lifetime? These
No, they
Once
bloom
a
all they
year.
Once a
bloom
year.
once a
Yeah.
year. But
Cool.
people have Christmas cactuses literally hundreds of years
of
old.
years. Yeah.
These things last. They are, if you don't overwater them, and I always thought you could put them outside, but I think I was a convert to not doing that because that really hurts them. They want, and somebody was explaining that they want the same thing all the time. If you've got them and they're happy, you just keep doing the same thing. If you water it at a certain day of the week and that's the way you take care of it and it's thriving, you do that, because if you change it, it's going to go,
Sure. Yeah.
But they grow in, is it rock crevices in the tropical rainforest?
Tropical rainforest, yes.
I believe. I think those grow like up on rock crevices. So they're a little bit like, I don't know, what would you think of, ferns or lichens or something like that?
They sit precariously on mountains. That is
so
really
they don't
cool.
really want a lot of water. They don't want wet feet.
And
at all.
because they last for so long, I mean, my grandmother had one that was probably
her grandmother's,
yes, it was at least 75 years old.
Unreal.
And so I'm sure that it was not taken care of 100% of the time like it should have been.
Sure.
And that's what they like. They just like that constant attention or lack of attention.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. I had an old friend like 40 years ago. Hers lived on her back porch, which she never went on to all winter long, hardly. So it was just back there against I think it was a west window, and they were just back there on a table, and they got completely ignored, and they seemed to be
right. Well, that sun coming in, the windows this time of year, and Gwen's right. They are very light sensitive, and that's why they tend to bloom at certain times of the year.
Cool.
And very easy to propagate. Take a clipping, just a pinch of a leaflet, put it in the ground, and it'll start to grow, which is great if you want to keep one of your grandmother's, plants.
Because you actually
for
have
posterity,
it. Yeah,
right?
You actually
right.
have it. It's
Give it to the
very
grandkids.
possible.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
I think the one I have is, oh boy, it's 10 or 12 years old now, the Thanksgiving cactus. And like I said, I abused it by putting it outside for several years. And then I thought, you know what, this thing does not like this.
Right.
And I stopped, and it's made all the difference.
We're staying very informed with our master gardeners of the University of Illinois Extension this morning. We got Gwen Podesky and Linda Smith in studio. Much more to talk about when we come back. We got to take ourselves a break. Thanks so much. Live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark. We'll be right back.
Your information station, WTIM.
This Miller Media Group radio station and our online daily newspaper, TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, have got winter weather covered. With our exclusive event delay software, closings and cancellations are posted instantly when received, 24/7, and also air every 10 minutes during applicable times. And find out the latest road conditions at the road conditions icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Whether online or on air, we've got you covered.
I'm Jeff Grimmett, Assistant Vice President at People's Bank and Trust in Taylorville. People's Bank and Trust is proud to sponsor Taylorville Junior High School Students of the Month on all of the WTIM platforms.
I'm Clint May, the 5th grade student of the month. My parents are Taylor and Lacey May. The school subject I enjoy is PE because I like playing games with my friends. This year at TJHS, I'm involved with football, student council, baseball. After high school, I'm considering being an electrician as a career. My dad is one, and I like helping him. A fun fact I would like you to know about me is I like to draw in my sketchbook.
Congratulations to these students on this honor from People's Bank and Trust. We put people first every day at People's Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Looking for ways to celebrate with the whole family this Christmas? The Taylorville Park District's Christmas in the Park has something for every generation. Grandparents will love their senior brunch with holiday bingo on December 12th. Families can enjoy magical evenings with Santa December 8th through the 18th. Special needs families won't want to miss our Kids Are Kids dance on December 13th. Plus, bring everyone for sleigh rides on select nights. Click their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com for complete schedule.
The Christian County Health Department offers COVID and flu vaccines that are now available at their new location, 730 North Pawnee, across from Taylorville Junior High School. High dose and regular flu shots can be received together with the COVID vaccine. That means you can get both vaccines in a single convenient visit. Call them for an appointment, 217-824-4113. That's 824-4113. The Christian County Health Department, protecting our community's health one vaccine at a time.
Small towns are in, and Taylorville is poised for you and your family to join them. Taylorville has what you're looking for. Find out more, including upcoming events, by clicking the Small Town Taylorville icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Senior Insurance Quote in Decatur can find the right plan for you. Their Medicare plan specialists are ready to answer your questions about Medicare plans and help you explore your options today. Click their icon on the obituaries page of TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Back live on this WTIM morning show with the Master Gardeners, Gwen Podesky and Linda Smith with the University of Illinois Extension. Got left off talking there about Christmas and holiday plants and the holiday cactuses, Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas. They really do exist out there. Now, for those that have the real Christmas trees inside their houses this year, I'm one of them. Once again, Gwen Podesky and Linda Smith. Well, what do I need to know about upkeep here and disposal, everything? Christmas trees in the home.
Well, when you bring it in, be sure that you've had them either, if it's been pre-cut, then have them put, or you take some sort of Sawzall or something and put a fresh cut on the bottom of that trunk and put it right down as soon as you get it home. Even if you don't take it right in the house, put it down in a bucket of water. Always make sure that you've got a very generous receptacle and a very sturdy one that will hold that tree up. And that needs to have water in that pan all the time.
Yeah. Don't let it dry
out. And
because that defeats the purpose of making that fresh cut. And that fresh cut allows moisture to get up there. And a lot of people don't do that. They bring them home and think they're fresh. So we'll stick it in the water. And there's no way that it absorbs water and moisture when the sap
it's already
is allowed
scabbed
to,
over. It's already dried over. When once it's cut, it's going to dry over pretty fast. And you need that fresh cut. And then once, like I was saying off air, invest in a Christmas tree funnel. There are such things at the hardware stores. They're usually about 3 foot long, 2 to 3 foot long, and got a funnel at one end. And then you don't have to fight, like crawling under the Christmas tree with the water
with your
can.
pitcher, yes, and dumping it all on the wrong.
I always found like an old canned tomato can was a good thing.
Right.
But that was sort of got tedious. So the Christmas tree funnel was a wonderful thing.
You guys are describing my nightly routine, filling up my Christmas tree there, because
Yeah.
I am fighting it and I'm going cup
Yeah.
by cup there. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, am I even dumping it in there? Am I just dumping it on the outside? No, that's a good thing to have in there.
But anyway, we've also, you just do want to keep it, again, like the poinsettia, you want to keep it away from vents if you can. Remember, it is a very flammable product.
Very much.
It has got resin in it as well as the wood, and it can
And
be
who
a
knows
disaster.
how long it's been
Yeah,
cut?
yeah,
you
you don't know.
It
You
was
really don't know.
probably maybe August, September to
Yeah.
get them shipped across the country and loaded up
Right,
and
right.
bagged and banded and whatever
Right,
they
and
do
then
to
they
them.
ship them on trucks, which that's drying. That's going to further dry them out. So always be sure to do that. Make sure you kind of give those needles a tug when you buy it to make sure that if the needles are coming off in your hands, that's not the tree
not a
to
good
buy.
choice.
Right, yeah.
So, but watch that. Watch your needles even in the house. Never, ever, ever leave it lit when you're not home, or don't leave it lit through the night. Just be aware, and don't keep it until it's crispy. After Christmas, there are plenty of things to do. I usually cut some of the branches off of it. That makes a great mulch for things like roses that you may need a little protection for. So, and other plants in your garden, and it's, compostable once you
That's right.
do that. So, and then, most cities have pickups, and they will take them out and put them for fish, small fish.
Love it. These are
Habitat.
all really great things to keep in mind, Master Gardeners. We're pretty much out of time right here. I'm super glad we found out about the cutting off the trunk of that tree right there, and we'll be right when you get it, just to prepare it for absorbing more water. Final words for our listeners out there. We hit all the topics we needed to today.
I hope everybody has a safe Merry Christmas, because it'll be here before we know it.
That's right.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Gwen Podesky, Linda Smith, Master Gardeners with the University of Illinois Extension, right here on WTIM, your information station.
Terrorist ties among members of the Rebel Alliance now in control in Damascus. U.S. airstrikes